Tolu, please check if I'm live. Because I've gone live now. Hopefully I can share this. Hopefully. Meeting is now streaming live. Oh, do I really want to stream it now? Okay. Let's see if we can copy the URL. Copy link. Can you hear everything I'm saying? Don't know if I can actually put that. Let me see if I can. That's the screen. Stop the video. Sure. How does it keep going? That should have actually been with the, use the link. So where it's not showing on there. Well, it's okay. Okay, so where's the screen share? Where's the workup now? Please, can you hear me, Tolu? I can't. Please check on it now. You know, you've got to help. Can you hear me? Hello, guys. I think I'm online, hopefully. I just need my daughter to check for me. You can clearly tell that I'm still learning how to do this, actually. What's it like, Tolu? I can't hear you. Okay, so what's broadcasting now? Is it the PowerPoint? Is it the PowerPoint? Yeah? Okay. Yes, I'm glad that I'm able to actually get this done. Hopefully everyone can see me and hear me. Please let me know if you can't see me or hear me. And maybe I'll be able to, I'll get used to this anyway. It's just with time, I'll get used to it. I just need you guys to tell me what you're seeing. Let's see if I can. Yeah.
Let me know if you can
I can see people now. That is wonderful. And maybe I'll be able to, I'll get used to this anyway. It's just with time, I'll get used to it. I just need you guys to tell me what you're saying. Let's see if I can. Yeah. Let me know if you guys I can see people now. Okay. Right, just 2 minutes, guys, and I'll start the lesson straight away. Okay. What's happening now? Come on now. This is so hard. Anyway, okay, so my lesson, I'm gonna just go on. I don't know what's happening now, but I just hope I'm fine. And don't mess me up now. Can you still see me, Tolu? What's going on? Right, I'll be fine. Let's go back. Right, I will go on so that I don't waste too much time. I'm not sure I know what's happening. Right, I think I know what it is. Come on. Pardon me, guys. Please, please pardon me. I'm just getting used to this. And I seem to, okay, I think I'm all right now. Right, so today we're going to be talking about reciprocals and fractions. And we want to understand what a reciprocal is. I'm very cautious of the time, and I really want you to get a lot out of this lesson, especially for the year 10 students. And parents, of course, can speak with their kids about this lesson to make sure that they understand this lesson proper. Please put your questions in the comment section as well. So we want to know what reciprocal is. If you've been on my profile on Facebook, you would have heard me sing about it, and it is just turning a number upside down. But how does that happen? How do you show your workings out when it comes to exam questions? So we want to be confidently, we want to be able to confidently solve GCSE exam questions on reciprocals. Let's go. The reciprocal of a number is 1 divided by that number. So say, for example, let's put this on a slideshow. You have a number like 7, and you're asked to find the reciprocal of that 7. The reciprocal of that 7 will be 1 divided by 7. As you can clearly see, I have written there. So it will be 1 divided by 7, because of course, if you do 1 divided by 7, this is exactly the same as what I've written here. Now, that is what the reciprocal of 7 is. However, how do you get the maximum mark during GCSE exams? If you write only 1/7, you might not get your full 2 marks if it's awarded a 2-mark question. However, if it's awarded a 1-mark question, you might get away with just writing 1/7. So how do you show your workings out? You must check that your answer multiplied by the original number you were given gives you a product of 1, okay? So we're gonna check if 1/7, so if I just escape that now, so I'm gonna go back. So we're gonna check our answers. So 1/7 times the original number I was given was a 7. And that's the 7 there. Now, every whole number is over 1. So you could write it as 7 over 1. This is exactly the same thing as 7 whole number, okay? How do you multiply two fractions then? This is where fractions is coming in now. How do you multiply two fractions? I've got a video on YouTube that talks about how to multiply fractions, but I'm gonna sing a song to help you remember. Just multiply the numerator and the denominator. So 1 times 7 is 7. 7 times 1 for the denominator is 7. Now, 7 out of 7 is the same thing as how many lots of 7 in 7, or 7 divided by 7. And this gives you one whole number. Look at my fingers. You see that's 7. That's 7. How many lots of 7 in 7? Is just 1 lot. So that's 1. So because 1 over 7 times 7 gives you 1, that makes your answer correct. That's what gives you the maximum mark in GCSE exams, okay? I'm gonna escape that. Now, the next bit we want to talk about is this bit here. So if you understand that bit that I have just talked about, please see if you can solve this question here that I've just put up here. What's the reciprocal of 2? Put it in the section there, in the comment section. Let's see how many of us actually get it. Or you can actually send your answers to me if you want. But if you've been able to ask your child, or if you happen to be a student yourself watching me, what is the reciprocal of 2? Do you know what it is? What is the reciprocal of 8? So I'm going to show you the answers just in case you've tried it. And that's your answer. Reciprocal of 2 is 1 over 2. And of course, the reciprocal of 8 is 1 over 8. But if you have to show your answer, remember you multiply the top and you multiply the denominator. Just multiply the top and the denominator. Let's put it like that, okay? So the next bit is, what is the reciprocal of a fraction such as 3 over 5? Now, we know from my song on my page profile, on my Facebook profile, that the reciprocal of 3 over 5 will be 5 over 3. We all know that, even though I've written the question there, a fraction such as 3 over 5 would have a reciprocal of 1 divided by 3 over 5, which is, you know, it's 5 over 3, but how do you prove it to get the maximum mark in GCSE? So you're gonna do 1 divided by 3 over 5, yeah, which is a basic concept in maths. Now, remember, every whole number is the same. Every whole number is the same thing as over 1. So 1 over 1 is the same thing as 1 whole. So divided by 3 over 5, yeah? How do you divide fractions? The first bit I showed you how to multiply fractions. Just multiply the top and the denominator. This time around, you're dividing and you need to show your workings out. The first one we did was just a full number on its own, but this is now a fraction. How do you divide fractions? So we use the KFC method to divide fractions. And what does that mean? The K means you keep the first fraction as it is because you're dividing. The F means you flip the second fraction. And the C means you change the divide to times, all right? So I'm gonna just show you how you can get the maximum mark in GCSE for this question. So to show, you know the answer is 5 over 3 for the reciprocal of 3 over 5, but that's not enough to get you the marks. So we're gonna write 1 over 1 because we're keeping the first fraction. This is how to divide fractions, guys. Then you're gonna flip the second fraction and make it 5 over 3 because you wanna show your workings out. And you're gonna put the C to change the divide into a times. So that's KFC. I love KFC. And you know, this is a good way to remember how to divide fractions. And I've got it on one of my videos on YouTube. So this is 1 over 1 times 5 over 3. Now we're back to multiplying these fractions. How do you multiply them? Just multiply the top and the denominator. That's a really good song, I would think. Anyway, so 1 times 5 is 5, and 1 times 3 is 3. Now, this is how you show your workings out to prove that 1 divided by 3 over 5 is 5 over 3. Remember, I told you, you've got to kind of check your answer to see if it's correct. And how do you do that? So you need to multiply your answer, which is 5 over 3. You need to multiply it by the number you were given, 3 over 5. Now, when you do that, if the product gives a 1, then your answer is correct for the reciprocal of that number. So let's go. How do you multiply fractions again? Just multiply the top. 5 times 3 is 15 over 3 times 5 is 15 as well. 15 divided by 15, or how many lots of 15 in 15 is 1. So yay, we got that right. Correctly correct. So that's very well done for maximum mark in GCSE exams. So I'm going to bring up some questions for you to do now. So hopefully you would know how to do this and you know how to show your workings out. Let's see. What's the reciprocal of 2 over 5? If you know it, just put it in the comment section. And if not, maybe you can do a replay of this video, but I guess it should be simple enough for us to understand. It's just that you need to show all your workings out to get your maximum mark. So the reciprocal of 2 over 5, tell us what it is. If you're working with your mom or dad right now, write it down on the paper for them to check that you're following. And if you're a parent yourself, you want to check that your child is actually getting to see this. I'm sorry if it's a bit fast, but yes, I'm very cautious of our time, guys. All right. Now, what's the reciprocal of 5 over 8? If you are a student, you want to do that on your own. You don't want to type it in the comment section, but I guess you should be bold enough to do it. But yeah, I'm going to show you the answers now. So this is the answer you should have gotten: 5 over 2 and 8 over 5. I hope that's really well done on your own side there. So the next bit I am going to go into is this bit here. This is a little note for you to remember. You can just have a snapshot of it, use your phone and just have a snapshot of it. It says to find the reciprocal, you do 1 divided by, it should be by anything you're given, not by the anything you're given. So 1 divided by anything you're given, that is the reciprocal. Or simply put, you're turning it upside down. But why are you turning it upside down? Do you know why? You're turning it upside down because 1 divided by what you're given will just literally turn the number upside down. So that's why you're turning whatever you're given upside down. You must know the reason. And that's why you've got to show your work now. Then another thing you need to know is to check your answer. You need to find the product, which is basically multiplying the product of your reciprocal and what you're given. If the product is 1, then you know your answer is right. Okay, guys? Now, this is now the GCSE exam question. So I'm just going to move this a bit. Now, these are all GCSE exam questions, guys. They're not hard. And this is the confidence I want to give students out there. Honestly, you just need to know why you're doing what you're doing in maths. So let's do this. If you're a primary school student or parent of a primary school student, please let them do this now because it's all part of what they will be learning anyway from year 2 or year 3. But it's just something they need to know. So the first one says, fill in the blanks. 2 over 3 times what will give you 1? We've just talked about reciprocals, guys. We just said when you turn a number upside down and you multiply it by what you're given, you will get 1. So let's find out how many of us actually understand this. I'm gonna check if I can see responses from on my screen. Let's see if I can risk seeing responses. Okay, I think I'm not gonna dare this. I'm just gonna go on and later on find out more about how the responses are seen. I saw it before now, but it's disappeared somehow, but I think I'll see it later. So I'm gonna project this again. Okay, let's go. So the first one says 2 over 3 times what will give me 1. Of course, if I put 3 and a 2 there, maybe I should have written it outside there. So if I put a 3 here and a 2 here, because I've just literally turned that upside down. 2 times 3 will give me 6. 3 times 2 will give me 6, yeah? That's how to multiply two fractions, yeah? So 3 over 2. Now, 6 out of 6 is the same thing as 1. So the answer to this question is just 3 over 2, guys. How about this one? What can you multiply by this to give you 1? You know when you turn something upside down and you multiply it by that number you've turned upside down, you're going to get 1. That's the reciprocal, isn't it? That's how you check if your answer for your reciprocal is correct. So if I put a 7 there over 4, if I multiply it out to check my answer, what am I going to get? 4 times 7 is 28, and 7 times 4 is 28. 28 divided by 28 is 1. So our answer is correct. The next bit, which says 8 times what? Now, I know if I turn this number upside down, I'm going to get 1 if I multiply both together. This number here is actually over 1, even though you're not saying it, but that's what it is. And then if you turn it upside down, you're going to get 1 over 8. And that will be the answer, because if you multiply 8 times 1, you're going to get 8. And if you multiply 1 times 8, you're going to get over 8. And 8 out of 8 is 1. The same thing here, guys. You've got 1 over 9. If you turn it upside down, you're going to get, I'm going to write it just here. You're going to get 9 over 1. And 9 over 1 is the same thing as 9 whole number. And so if you multiply that, you know, if we put over 1 there, 1 times 9 is 9. 9 times 1 is 9. And 9 out of 9 is 1. We're done. These are all good marks you shouldn't be missing out in GCSE. The word reciprocal shouldn't make you feel otherwise, okay? So let's go to this question on here. This one says 10 over 11. The reciprocal, which is basically turning it upside down. And because you've been awarded just 1 mark, you don't really need to worry. Just turn it upside down and get your full marks for that, okay? Because it's just 1 mark. So you write 11 over 10, and that's the answer. And this one, what's the reciprocal of 3 over 10? Same thing, just write 10 over 3. Can you all see how easy this is? And then find the reciprocal of 1 over 12. Just turn it upside down. You know, it's just 1 mark, so you don't need to really bother, you know. Just write 12 over 1. And what's 12 over 1? It means how many lots of 1 in 12? And that's just 12. All right, guys. So remember, this is just what you need to be able to remember key skills in maths, okay? And I'll bring up those key skills later. This number 12 here says, find the reciprocal of 0.5. Now, this is the bit where I really want us to talk about more. To find the reciprocal of 0.5, we need to know what 1 divided by 0.5 is. Of course, we know reciprocal means 1 divided by what we're given. 1 divided by 0.5 will give me the reciprocal of 0.5. But I've got to be able to change my decimal to fractions, guys, so that I can do it easily. So we've talked about, let me just go to the keywords or what I call language, maths language here. We've talked about reciprocal, you know what it is. We've talked about the numerator of a fraction, the denominator of a fraction. We've talked about fraction itself. We've talked about what product means, which is times. Right now, in less than 15 minutes, we've actually talked about dividing fractions using KFC. We've talked about multiplying fractions. You're remembering what I say. Just multiply the top and the denominator, something like that, okay? So we are here now. This one here, we'll talk about it in a moment. But this one, change fractions to decimals and vice versa, is what we're doing right now. These are all key in maths. They're not difficult if you put your mind to it, guys. And I really want to push that boost. And that's why I'm doing what I'm doing, okay? So let's change this decimal into a fraction. When I was younger, I used to be taught something like this, and I'm going to show you quickly. 100 tens units. I mean, if you're from where I come from, we used to do that. Over here, it's also done, but it's not seen as a rhyme. We used to sing it as a rhyme, 100 tens units. And then after the unit, you've got the tens. Come on now. You've got the the 10th, 1 over 10. You've got the 100th, 1 over 100. Now, if I was to write this 0.5, I'm going to write it as 0.5. Yeah, isn't it? So if I want to write this as a fraction, I'm going to have it as, let's find a spot here, 1 divided by 5 over 10. That is what 0.5 is, because it's 5/10. Is that clear? Now, we're back to the dividing fractions. You cannot run away from the basic maths. So you've got to understand it really fully well. So let's divide this for maximum mark in GCSE. So we're going to do 1 over 1, because that's what every whole number is, divided by 5 over 10. How do you do divide into fractions? You do KFC, guys. Don't forget that. So you keep, K means you keep the first fraction as it is. F means you flip the second fraction, 10 over 5. And C means you change the divide 2 times. You're back to want to sing my song. How do you multiply 2 fractions? You multiply the top and you multiply the denominator, and that is 5, okay? So 10 over 5 is the reciprocal, okay, of 5 of 0.5. So if I put it there, 10 over 5. And what's 10 over 5? 10 over 5 basically means how many lots of 5 in 10, which is 2. That makes sense, isn't it? I'm going to show you why it makes sense. I'm going to use this spot as my writing board. You know, 5 over 10 is half. Yeah? And if you turn it upside down, you're just going to get 2 over 1, which is the same thing as 2. Can you see it does make sense? Yeah? I'm going to move this screen out of the way. Now, let's complete this because we need to complete it and move on. Work out the reciprocal of 0.7. Guys, is the same thing like we've just done, okay? So you know 0.7 is the same thing as 7 over 10. 7 over 10. That's what 0.7 is. If I divide that, I will then have 10 over 7, but I must prove how I got the answer of 10 over 7. So you know reciprocal means 1 divided by the number you were given, which is in this case is 7 over 10. That's the same as 0.7. Then you use your KFC to multiply this out, and you keep your first fraction, you flip your second fraction, you change your divide 2 times, and you get your 10 over 7. And that's how you get the reciprocal. How do you check if this answer is actually correct? If you remember that, well done. You check by multiplying your reciprocal, which in this case is 10 over 7, by what you were given, 7 over 10. Whatever you get should give you one whole number. And that means you're right. That means your reciprocal is correct. This bit here says, work out the reciprocal of 1.5. Guys, now this is where we want to talk about mixed numbers and improper fractions. This is where we want to talk about it. One whole, let's write that properly, one whole number, this 0.5 is exactly the same thing as this 5/10 here, okay? So this is one whole number, 5 over 10. That's what this means. And this is a mixed number. If I want to change that mixed number into an improper fraction, I've got to multiply it out. Now, 1 lot of 10 is 10. Add 5 to 1 lot of 10, you get 15. So this is 15 out of over 10. This is your improper fraction. Now, what is the reciprocal? You know reciprocal means just turn the number upside down. So the answer will be 10 over 15 for the reciprocal, but how do you prove it? Pardon me with this pen I'm using. Reciprocal becomes 10 over 15. But how do you prove it? You could prove it in 2 ways. You could do 15 over 10, which is the original number you were given, this one here, times your answer, 10 over 15. If you multiply it, let's multiply the top, which is 150, and the bottom, which is 150. 150 divided by 150 is 1. So your answer is correct. It's actually 10 over 15. You could prove it that way. Or you just do your 1 divided by 15 over 10. Yeah, because this is 15 over 10. Remember, we just done it. So if you do 1 divided by that, you use your KFC when you're dividing. You keep the first fraction. This is a fraction, which is the same thing as 1 whole. And then you flip the second one. And then you change the divide to times. And then you get 10 over 15, which is exactly the same thing as the reciprocal we got before. So you could do it that way, guys, okay? Now, this number 16 is what we're going to use to round up. It says, work out the reciprocal of 20. Give your answer as a decimal. Now, this is the problem here. The reciprocal of 20 means 1 divided by 20, isn't it? Which is the same thing as 1 over 20. They don't want the answer as a fraction. You have been told to give your answer as a decimal. How do you do that? That's the bit we're going to do now. Just hold on a minute for me. I'm so glad we were really on time on this. So I'm just going to show you how you can do 1 over 20 as a decimal. So I'm going to use this space here. 1 over 20 is the reciprocal of 20. We all know that because reciprocal means 1 divided by the number you were given. So 1 divided by 20 would give you 1 over 20. This is the answer as a fraction, but they want it as a decimal. Now, please, guys, before I go off air, 1 divided by 20. Look at these two things I'm going to write, and you think about which one is actually the right one for your long division. If I put 1 here and put 20 here, guys, which one of these, let's put that in a circle, which one of these is 1 divided by 20? This here is 20 divided by 1, while this one here is 1 divided by 20. So this is the same thing as 1 over 20. Make sure you remember that. This is very important for long division. And I will say you should learn your long division before going to learn the short methods for this, which I will also show you on here. So how many lots of 20 in 1? That's not possible. So you put a 0 there, and you put a point there, and you put a 0 here as well. So remember to put your point there. How many lots of 20 in 10? That's not possible. So you put 0 there and you put 0 here, but you don't put any point anymore, okay? You can only have 1 decimal point there. How many lots of 20 in 100? Yes, we know there are 5 lots of 20 in 100. So 1 over 20 as a decimal is 0.05, guys. That's how you can get your maximum mark in for GCSE exams. We are talking about exams here, and that's why I'm doing what I'm doing. I am not going to be saying, okay, let's learn from the basics, because we expect you year 10 students to be able to understand some basic concepts. Using the second method, 1 over 20 as a decimal, you need to change your denominator into any power of 10, okay? So if I times this by 5 and I times this by 5, I am gonna get 5 over 100, yeah? Now, because it's 2 zeros at the bottom, I know I'm gonna have 2 decimal places, guys. So I'm gonna put 0.05 because that makes the 2 decimal places for me. But like I would always say, if you don't understand one method, learn the second method, okay? So thank you very much for listening to me. Before I go, remember, we've dealt with all these keywords. You need to learn the keywords in maths. You need to learn maths language. And I've got some videos on how you can learn maths language. And if you go to my YouTube channel, Maths Teacher Bytes, you will see all these keywords listed that you need to train yourself on, so that you can really understand when you're solving problems, you know what to do, okay? So we've touched everything I want us to touch, and I'm glad I was able to do it. Your home learning, which is more like a homework for parents to give their children, is that they should have mastery skills on the link between reciprocals and fractions. Tune in next Sunday at 3 p.m. Send me a DM if you have any question for me. And of course, if you have questions, topics you would want us to talk about, please send them to me, DM me, and I will love to do some of those questions or some of those topics with you guys. Thank you for listening, and thanks for watching me. Remember these key skills here I've written here. To find the reciprocal, you do 1 divided by anything you're given, and to check your answer, you find the product. Product means times, multiplication. You find the product of your reciprocal and what you're given. If the product is 1, then your answer is correct or your answer is right. Thanks for watching, and I really love the fact that you were able to watch me. And remember, you should now understand what the reciprocal is. You should now be able to quickly write down the reciprocal of simple numbers, and you should confidently solve GCSE exam questions on reciprocals. This is the highlight of my lesson today. Your mastery skills, know the link between reciprocals and fractions, all right? And use this to understand the language of mathematics. Thank you for watching, and see you next week, Sunday, 3 p.m. next Sunday. Thank you. Bye.